So the topic of Bigfoot is already strange enough on its own, but as you dive deeper into some of these Bigfoot reportings and accounts that happens all around the world, people said that they've also seen this woman in white on the properties before or after seeing Bigfoot. Most people would just kind of push this off as another paranormal sighting, just like the UFO, but as you dive deeper into these folklores on the Lady in White, you start to see a connection with Bigfoot. Before we get into that, I just want to say welcome back to another Late Night Strange. And tonight, we are going to be talking about the Lady in White and the folklore that revolves behind this strange entity. Without further ado, let's get started. So the stories of a Lady in White are told all around the world, including Europe, North America, South America, Russia, and Asia. No matter where you go, she always looks the same. She wears a white dress and has long black hair that often covers her face. This may sound like every other ghost entity that they put in the movies, but could very well be inspired by the true stories and the folklores that were told about this Lady in White. She has been reported to be a type of female ghost, very well known in the Asian culture, as she makes her appearance throughout the years in many movies like The Ring and The Grudge. Those are just movies, but the question is, how is this Lady in White connected with Bigfoot? Or how real is she? But before I tell you guys about the connection between Bigfoot and the Lady in White, I just want to tell you guys the folklores that comes from around the world on the Lady in White. In Ireland, the Wailing Woman in White, also known as the Banshee, has been depicted to be the omen of death. Folks often hear her screams, wailing, and shrieks coming from the woods, and has been reported by locals to see her with long streaming black hair, which she can also be seen combing it. People also reported seeing her wearing a gray cloak over a green dress, and her eyes are often described as being red from continuously weeping. She's also seen around homes where a family member has died or was about to die, and with her being the omen of death, if somebody died far away and news of their death have not come yet, her wailing will be the first warning to those people that a tragedy was to come. Just like Ireland, Scottish folklores depict a lady in white called the Quinnic, which means weeper. The Quinnic is also a female spirit and a type of banshee. They are usually invisible and seen mourning the deaths near waterfalls, streams, lakes, or creeks. Down in Spain, there's also a legend called the Las Lavanderas. These lavanderas also appear in Britain legends. The Midnight Washerwoman is what they call it. Related to the old Celtic traditions of the triple goddess, they also appeared by creeks, washing the bloodstains on their dress of those who are about to die. Going to Japan, they have the Yurei. They are vengeful spirits trapped between the living and the dead. And you can see these depictions of these Yurei in a lot of these Japanese horror movies, with that white dress and long black hair. In Japan, when somebody dies, certain rituals must be done in order to guide the spirits to the afterlife. But those who didn't have a ceremony, that died unintentionally or in an unnatural death, they are left to kind of resolve matters and may become the ghost or the Yurei. And the most frequent representation of this Yurei are a woman wearing a white kimono, with dark hair and no feet. There are many types of Yureis out there, especially in Japanese folklore, and they all have different names. Some are evil, some are not. There are even some Yureis that comes back to take care of their children after they die. But the other kinds are usually linked to tragic events and haunted areas throughout Japan. Down in the Philippines, we have the Filipino White Lady that can appear anywhere. Although she has a habit of appearing at night on the side of the road or in your car's back seat while you're driving, she is most famous for hailing cab drivers, getting to the back of their seat, telling them where she wants to go, then disappearing without a trace. She is also believed to be a malevolent spirit who is out to scare you to death. And believe it or not, the Filipino White Lady is to blame for countless road accidents due to drivers panicking at her sight. One of the most famous sightings of the White Lady in the Philippines is the Balit Drive located in New Manila, Quezon City. The residential area was considered the address of the elites and was once lined with balit trees. Countless tales of the White Lady appearing here and sometimes hailing taxi drivers, contributing to their belief that the balit trees are actually the homes of the White Lady. Interestingly enough, the White Lady in the Philippines has a more malevolent spirit called the Black Lady. So the Black Lady is known to be this vengeful spirit that's dressed in all black, has long black hair, and can appear almost anywhere, like in your bathroom mirror or outside of your window at nighttime. Just like the White Lady, the Black Lady terrorized drivers by appearing at night on the road. She does not hail cab drivers like the White Lady, but just appears suddenly in the back seat of a cab. In Mexico, they have the La Leona, or the Wailer or Weeping Woman. Legend has it that there is a woman named Maria that drowned her two children and killed herself after finding out that her husband was cheating on her. After her death, her unsettled spirit can be heard looking for her two children that she drowned, and cries can be heard throughout Mexico saying, "Ay, mis hijos, ¿dónde están mis hijos? Many people also link her to waters, lakes, rivers, streams, looking for more children to drown. It is said that her voice ripples in an odd way, and when the sound is distant, when you hear her very far away, that means that she is indeed very close by. The same legend is also popular in Venezuela. Wooden crosses are placed in homes to ward off her vengeful spirit. But down there they call her the Sayona, which is the woman in white that appears as a beautiful woman to lure unfaithful husbands into the forest where she either turns them into a beast or devours them. Now let's head into the United States, where there are many tales about the Lady in White across the US. But one of the most oldest story comes from the state of New York, which was from around the 1800s. There was a legend that a mother lost her daughter and she became hysterical. She was convinced that her daughter was raped and murdered by a local farmer, so she searched for her daughter's body in the fields every single day, looking for the spot where her daughter might be buried. The story goes that she even brought two German Shepherd dogs with her but failed to track her daughter's whereabouts. Finally, desperate and in intense grief, the mother flung herself from a cliff, falling to Lake Ontario, and the poor dogs, being in distress, joined her by jumping off the cliff as well. Sightings of the mother have been reported dressed in white and accompanied by two dogs howling throughout the night. As you can see, there are many folklores and legends out there about the Lady in White, and the details are very similar throughout the world. There are many of them that I did not get into, but as I grew up watching ghost movies and thought to myself, why are all these ghosts always depicted to always wearing a white dress with long black hair? It wasn't until throughout the years I started hearing these stories about people seeing Lady in White alongside with Bigfoot. And hearing about all these reports, there are many out there that has been recorded throughout the years. And people would just kind of sweep these under the rug and briefly mention it as if they just saw a ghost or something. But as you dig deeper into these folklore, the Lady in White has always been told to kind of have these two children that were either following her or she was still looking for them after death. But there was one story in German folklore that really intrigued me, and that was the story of Perchta, which was a moon goddess that would lure children into the wilderness. And Perchta was an old hag that wore white, and she can also appear as a young woman in white, and said to have feet that were too big for her. And some articles even said that she had bird-like feet. And this is a very interesting description because some of these reports coming from the people who have seen the Lady in White also mention specifically how it looked like she has shoes that were too big for her. You guys are probably wondering, okay, how is this related to Bigfoot? Well, for those of you who's been following Bigfoot reports, know that sometimes three-toed tracks would be actually seen where Bigfoot sightings have happened. And if you look at Perchta, who had bird-like feet, Well, if you look at the bird's feet, there's 3 toes in front and one facing backwards. In my opinion, I think that is Perchta's footprints, also known as the Lady in White. But many of these 3-toed tracks are actually blamed on Dogman, believe it or not, or a different type of species of Bigfoot. But let's dive a little bit deeper into the description of Perchta. So Perchta has also been told to have these 2 groups that follow her around. And one is called the Hainjin, which were the dead souls of children that took the form of the Will-O-Wisp, or what we know as the Spooklights. And the other group that follow her around would be called the Perchtons. And these group were a group of hairy wildmans. And if you dig a little bit deeper into the rabbit hole, you will find these folklores about wild men and their significant others being a woman in white or a white creature. For example, in West Africa, you had the Shamantans, who were known to be witches that were extremely tall and completely white, and their significant other was the Sasabansun, which were human-like creatures covering long hair who lives in the cotton trees that were really extremely hostile to men. And the hunters that goes missing in the forest were actually believed to become prey to the Sasabansun. Another legend is the Apple Tree Man in England that is said to be this wild man that guarded an orchard, and he is accompanied by this old haggy woman who wears white. And now this is not a legend, but look at this, you have King Kong and the woman in white. Last but not least, the story that intrigues me the most about the Lady in White and Bigfoot is the classical story in the Bigfoot community known as Ape Canyon. To those who don't know this story, it's the story where these 4 miners got attacked by a group of Bigfoot and held hostage in their cabin until sunrise. Those who know this story most likely read Fred Beck's book, I Fought the Ape Men of Mount St. Helens. In this book, Fred Beck, one of the miners that was actually there during the Bigfoot attack, told us exactly what happened and how he said that them finding their gold mine was actually not an accident at all. It was actually more of a psychic experience. And Fred also talked about how the 4 of them ran into multiple spirits that helped them find their gold mine. One was a large Indian that dressed in buckskin, who they call the Great Spirit. Another one was this lady in white. She was called the Vander White. And how they found their gold mine was actually very strange. And how he told it was this large Indian told them to follow a white arrow that would lead them all the way up to the mine. And the 4 of them would actually follow this white arrow through the woods, up in the terrains, for 4 days until they stumble upon where they will be mining. And it wasn't just Fred that actually saw these spirits. The other 3 guys actually saw them as well, along with the arrow. And after mining there for some times, they decided to name their mine Vander White, which was the name of the Lady in White that they encountered. But I will leave you guys here today with one of the quotes that I found very interesting from his book. Fred said that they are not entirely of this world. He's talking about the Bigfoot. He's also said that all I can say is that we generally fought and were quite fearful, and we were glad to get out of the mountains. But I was, for one, always conscious that we were dealing with supernatural beings, and I know the other members of the party felt the same way. And that is it for today, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode of the Lady in White and the strange reports that comes from the Bigfoot community about this entity, and especially the folklores revolving behind this and how it is connected with Bigfoot. I believe that, there's so much strange things out there that we can't even, science can't even explain, I should say. And just, hearing all about these reports and trying to connect the dots, I believe sometimes, you get to be more open to hearing about all the other entities, because you never know if there's some connections there or not. There's this huge puzzle piece that we're trying to put together, and the Lady in White is just a part of that puzzle. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. For those of you guys who are new here, please like and subscribe, and I will see you guys all on the next episode of Late Night Strange. Goodbye, guys, and like always, stay strange.